What we just discussed, did you want to take anything from that or leave it as is, or?
I'm inclined to leave it as it is.
Okay.
I can
Because I'm not
give
sure
you
what to say
a
there.
current status here. So far from expenses, it's been reduced by $195,000. Because the additional revenue, however, the government entity fees have been reduced by $323,333. The IWPP revenue was reduced $21,667. And then, as mentioned, there's $37,500 additional revenue for state and $112,500 additional revenue from federal. So in total, it's $195,000 reduction in overall budget, but it has shifted the government entity fees at a savings of $223,000.
What is that other in the government on the fees again? Savings of what?
$323,333. So that number now becomes $22,903,464.
I thought Chuck said the number was like 500,000. So that is pretty close.
Almost 500 grand reduction.
Yeah, sorry.
Or 323. So.
But they are leaving the salary position, they're leaving the positions funded to be insurance, not funded.
They just did a run through.
Well, the board voted on that, so
Yeah,
they're not
so
coming
that's-
out, they're there.
But that represents a savings.
But you're not going to be able to hire them.
Yeah, so that represents an additional savings.
Correct. All right.
But Mayor, what was the number that you said that you thought? You said it was 300 something.
You just said 323.
323.
Is represents what?
Government on the
And could you just break that out again?
As a percent, it's $323,333 reduction. So the government entity fees total now becomes $22,903,465.
What the breakdown of that 323 is? Or the month? It was the
Oh, pardon me. That's,
He's in the first page.
we removed $95,000 from contingency. We removed $100,000 from electricity. We added $112,500 to federal disaster revenues and added $37,500 to state aid.
So he's reducing it at 323 for the 2 million.
And there's an additional $21,667 that's a reduction in the retreatment revenue.
The fees, yeah. That's what he said, government entity fees.
If you decrease that, you're
No, it's
losing
not good
money.
enough, but
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Yeah, I don't know, that's what he said. You're right.
I guess I'm
I'm actually not
Well,
following.
there's the 3 positions, we're leaving them in there, but we're not funding, we're funding them, but we're not going to fill them.
But the money will
Return
still
to
be
the
there.
ratepayer
Right.
when we do the funding.
The money will still be there, so you're not cutting it from the sewer.
Right.
So I mean, instead of, you can't compromise on one of those, one or two of those.
This doesn't directly affect the sewer
The
rates.
line on all 3.
Well, that's up to the board. You guys willing to go 2 instead of 3, or?
Can we cut the 2?
That's up to the no votes.
I'd personally be willing to cut, one of the mechanics. I certainly don't want to cut an operator at this point
Cut
in the
both mechanics,
process.
Conrad?
No, one of them. Because the reason I have a mechanics assistant is the same as having an operator 1. Because you want an operator 1 because you want to get someone in there to train them, to get them up to date in a position that's hard to fill. Same with the mechanics assistants. That's my understanding. So you want to remove one of the mechanics assistants to save money. I think I could be convinced, but I don't.
What we discussed is that we would remove these positions until there's a time that we needed those positions, and that we would look at it when we get the plan up and running. Because by the time they get
By the time the test comes into play,
test
they
comes
take the
into
test,
play,
the results
and
come
to get
out.
somebody
You're looking at almost a year already.
At least a year.
And before they can even bring
But
it
by very strictly unfunding it now, you're pushing that even further.
You're really not pushing.
No, we're not pushing it
They
further.
can bring it back at any time.
Because if they get the plan up and running in January, correct me if I'm wrong, and you find that there's a need for it, you come back to the village and the city and you say there's a need for this position, and then we fund it at that time, correct? Isn't that what we
Sure,
discussed?
yes, we did, yes, yes.
And is that the same timeline as if it was passed in the budget? Would we wait until January to call in for the test to be scheduled? The civil
January.
service exam?
We couldn't advertise till it was funded.
What's that?
I said we couldn't advertise the position until it was funded, and we wouldn't do the test until we had a candidate who finishes that.
But I don't know why you would know in January when the plant's not slated to fully come on.
It was just.
Okay.
The other thing is, you don't have to wait till it's funded. We can issue a test for anything. And
I was gonna say, why'd you have to wait till?
Yeah, you
you
call
don't,
it.
you don't have to.
I don't think you do.
No,
Makes
I
makes
just talked
sense.
to Trish, she's gonna be looking into we're gonna test on that right away. The other thing I think you gotta be cognizant of, everybody that's operating that plant right now is all learning the new technology, when I say technology, how the new plant operates, okay, what's involved with it. Bringing on 3 new people, you're gonna be being trained by people that are being trained. Would you rather have the other people trained first, to train the second group of people, or, train them all together? Got me that far away.
No,
I
I
understand. I mean, it's up, it's.
So right now, you want the 3 positions in, and they're not going to be filled for 2020. So if you want to work together, you can come up with a scenario where maybe you have some money, and then those positions could be filled. But I mean, just to have the money there, but not being able to be expended, that makes a lot of sense. That hurts the ratepayers and plan at the same time.
In the end, you're hurting the ratepayers, by voting no, you're
Charging
hurting
them
the
for something they're
ratepayers.
not using.
There's
And the
something
plant's not gonna get the
that's in
positions
budget.
anyway.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
So I think we should try to figure out a way that everybody can work together and build consensus.
And as we said, we're not totally getting rid of these positions for 1 year. It's till the next budget comes around. But if we need them before then, we're willing to talk and say, okay, we need this position, let's fund it, let's fill it.
Well,
Okay.
any budget modifications or changes or cuts
True,
are
no,
for 1
understood,
year.
I understand it, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, we're not saying get rid of the positions, we don't want them at all.
We're just not
We're just-
funding them.
We're just not funding them at this
Can't
point, we
make
want
any
to kind of put them
clearer
on
than-
hold until we're really sure that that's what we're gonna need going
Positions all
forward.
over City Hall that are unfunded.
You know, as Chuck said, they're gonna call for the operator 1 test
They're
now,
just-
so if they call
it's
for
still
it.
available,
Right.
and then if you
Yeah.
want
We
it
gotta
funded-
move on. So you either you wanna leave it the way it is, that's fine. You wanna change it, we'll change it. It's up to you 3 guys.
Based on your practices and your experiences hiring folks and considering the situation where it stands now, would these positions in the budget, whether or not they are now funded or unfunded, change your hiring process when this plant is fully online and the timing of it, based on whether, today these positions are funded or unfunded? That seems like the crux of the issue in the question here.
As a member of the board's personnel committee, if positions are funded, we can advertise for them. And I believe we would advertise for them. But if they're not funded, or if we're directed not to fill them, which is fine, that's the owner's prerogative, then we're not gonna be able to proceed with those.
So it sounds like a yes to Councilman's question?
It sounds like it could delay the process by a month or 2 because you'd have to go
I think
to.
some
A
of
month or
these
two.
positions
It
are
all
going to be
depends.
filled this year,
It-
and needing to be funded for next 2020.
But then this is
Now
also
they
going
won't.
off a list that's made for the old treatment
Right,
center as
I
well,
mean, they
which
can be
takes more
funded
people.
under, they can
I
be
hear you.
filled.
Because they're currently available.
So- I think that month or 2 matters a lot when you're talking about an operator in terms of getting a person there ASAP as the plan is coming online, getting them trained, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how much a month or 2 matters when you're talking about mechanics assistant. So if you have to make cuts, I think that would be the position that you would keep unfunded. That's my position.
When's the plant going to be fully online? exactly? Do we have an exact date? Do we know exactly?
Is it August? Is it next? Is it
Last
August
month.
2020? Is it? No, I'm just curious.
August
I
is
want
the
to know.
schedule that we submitted to the DEC, but.
I mean, so the thing's not, you don't need these positions right now anyway. If you think about it, if it's not going to be fully online and functional, you won't need these positions for another 8 months after
Cameron,
January.
you'd like to see the operator position stay.
That's
right?
correct.
Can you live with the 2 assistant positions?
I think I
Compromise
could.
with 2 assistant
Okay.
mechanics positions and leave the operator 1.
Yeah.
I would agree with
What
You
about
keep-
the other 2 no votes? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in favor of the compromise.
Thank you.
What I would like to put on the record, though, you know, keeping the compromise in mind, is that one thing that I am worried about, and only time will tell if this worry is valid. You know, I'm worried right now that we're going through this budget and trying to find every nook and cranny where you can save money and be able to tell the public that you're not increasing the sewer rates. You know, I did the same thing. Let's cut $100,000 from the electricity budget. Let's take that money out of contingency. We're finding every nook and cranny to do that right now. And then when the plan is truly up and running, and we've got this massive, massive debt service that we have to continue paying 1 or 2 or 3 years down the line, then we're like, oh crap, these rates and this budget really does have to balloon. And that's one thing that I'm worried about, and what I would like to see is an actual assessment and predictions of what that budget looks like. Because why are we actually having this discussion right now? Why are we actually so worried right now about these rates? It's not because we're, you know, funding this $40,000 position or talking about 10,000 of benefits here. It's because there's this massive, massive, massive amount of debt that we have to pay for a project that is far behind schedule that we have to pay for. That's really the issue here. So I'm worried that we're searching for every little thing, but 2 years, 3 years down the line, those sewer rates are going to have to drastically increase.
Not necessarily, because that's been taken into account, I think, through the
Well, I don't know
last
that.
couple of years.
I don't know if that's
Well, they went up in 2019. I mean, everybody knows that. There was a significant increase in 2019.
26%, right? And
It's less than that, it's 24.5.
24.5.
Dan, you didn't.
Automatic
In the
recall.
city.
Yeah,
That's important. We're only talking about in the city. In other municipalities, it's different. Every municipality
Absolutely.
sets
Their
their own
own
rates.
Sure.
rates up.
I'm also concerned that we're really pushing off having an honest conversation with the ratepayers about what paying for this construction really is going to look like. And I think that the public deserves an honest conversation just as they deserve an honest effort to reduce the rates. But the reality is that you can't put $275,000 or $275 million into a construction project and not pay for it. It gets paid for some.
Of course it does.
I'll make 2 suggestions here. Number 1, we have to market this plant to the public, okay? We have probably one of the most sophisticated sewer treatment plants in the country, all right? In
According to
Binghamton,
who?
Wait a second. Okay? Hear me out here.
Okay, so.
All right?
Go ahead.
You have to market the plant to the public. You also have to tell the public what kind of rates they're currently paying. You have to do a survey of like plants around the country, and you have to find out what they're paying for their sewer. Because I think you're going to find that our customers, our ratepayers, are paying a heck of a lot less than the majority of the country. Okay? Second thing that we have to do is we have to go to our state and our federal officials, and we have to get help. And there's money out there to be had, but we have to pound these people to get the money that we deserve for our ratepayers. That's my suggestion.
Sometimes it's hard to do it after the fact. Sometimes it's hard to get that money after the fact. Now, I'm not saying we don't try, but I hear what you're saying. Dan, you didn't speak up when you were asked about the compromise.
since the mayor and the comptroller are here, is there a chance that adding to the compromise, we could give a ballpark estimate of rate increases over the next few years? How we're going to basically pay for this plan? It seems like something that, at least in my district, I've been knocking on a lot of doors again. Seems like something that everybody wants to know. They want to know whether they should go on a vacation next year or save the money to pay their bills. You know, businesses want to know whether they can do a capital investment or whether they gotta, you know, set money aside so they.
These are separate, unrelated things. We're talking about the budget for 2020.
It's still a valid question.
Well, it'd be like saying, what are we going to do with city taxes next year? What's the county sales tax allocation going to be? Is the county going to raise or decrease?
That's not true. I mean, it echoes what I just rambled about, which is that I think all of us really are worried about the future, about 2 years from now, about 3 years from now, and what those rates look like. So, you know, maybe they're not tied into each other intrinsically regarding this budget process, but they sort of are in one sense. And I would also ask the same thing. I mean, do those numbers exist, Chuck?
You don't know until you have the variables from the lawsuit.
I'm sure there are estimations that you can make based on conservative.
How do you make an estimation from the lawsuit?
Let me answer this for you guys, okay? Number one is the numbers that have been thrown out in the public are totally off base. Yes. I'm gonna tell you that factually, okay? Telling us that it's gonna cost us $400 million, that is off base. Number two is you don't know what the state's still gonna come up to, any more money. I've been talking to people in the federal government who have not given us a penny, okay, who continually says we have to meet the criteria of the Chesapeake watershed, okay? They have not come up with one single penny for this project, but most of what we're doing is based off of what they've told us we have to do, is requiring the state, okay? And number three is the lawsuit the mayor's talking about. That could turn out to be $75 million. It could be that we lose it, okay? It could be that we only get $5 or $10 million. That's such a big range to throw out and say we're going to do this is just a deception to the public.
Well, what do we know? That's a list of things we don't know. So what do we know? What can we know?
Dan, I wouldn't want to give a number that in 2 years is 20% off, 30% off, because I don't know.
So based on the amount of money that we're putting into the debt service in this year's budget, and we did that every single year, would that be a sustainable way of paying off our debt for this project?
What's in the debt is going to have to go up a little bit, not a lot.
What is a little bit? Millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands.
God, I couldn't guess right here, okay? There's too many variables, and a big one is the interest rates. What are they going to be a year, 2 years?
Because I obviously I believe everything you're saying, because you know you're honest and you always have been with this body. But that is the big variable here, right? That money is what is going to decide whether or not the sewer rates have to go up drastically.
If you guys want to come to my office, I'll show you what we've booked long term. Okay? It's all out there.
So there are numbers.
For what we've gone long term.
They're projected numbers. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
That's what we're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And he's telling you there's variables in those projected numbers.
But there's still bands out there that have not gone long term that has a lot of variables to it.
Sure, but and so there are projected numbers that exist. You just don't want to say them on the record because they're not.
Number one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you would be willing to share them with us?
I'll share the numbers over here.
In a way that we could then share them with other people? Or you would ask us not to share them with other people?
You share them at your own risk because there's variables. I mean, you may
Because they're projected.
Exactly, right, yeah.
Yeah. It could possibly.
They could change.
Possibly.
So I wouldn't share them with, that's my personal, I wouldn't share them with anybody.
And then they'll say,
But
oh,
they
why
could
did you
change.
lie to us?
Yeah.
And then you get in trouble for lying when you weren't lying, you were just using what you have right here.
Sure.
Sure, yeah, but that's part of having.
Well, and that's why Binghamton has to be careful with these things.
So,
we don't
I
wanna
guess we need to get back to, the big question here. We'll wait for your answer on
Yeah, that's, Dan, I was asking.
Well, we got
what-
9,
what's
so
your
we,
thought?
Dan's the swing vote here.
Yeah.
Either it happens or it doesn't happen.
Well, I'm feeling like I'm actually finally getting a little bit of information
All right.
that I.
So what are you gonna do with it now? You gotta move on.
Well, I have another question that I'd like to ask. I asked this question to.
Kill the support.
What's that?
No, he's asking something else.
Oh, sure.
Sorry about that.
I asked this question to both the mayors via email. I'm interested to know where the contract is that was supposed to.
Ken Frank responded to that and sent you an email, and these are completely different.
Dan, it's nothing to do with your vote here. I mean,
That has
make a
nothing to do with the
decision.
budget.
Make a decision, or you're either gonna.
I'm open to voting to cut these positions if I can get a little
Unfund.
bit. What's that?
Unfund positions.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Mayor. Yes. I'm interested in getting a little bit of information that I haven't been able to get to date. When are we
He
going?
sent you an email earlier
As Mayor Derek said,
today.
you've got an
My-
email from
and this
Ken.
has
My,
nothing to
my
do with
email
that.
is not working today. Give me a.
This
Here it
is
is.
different. We're not.
It's
how
not
we're
part of
here.
the, that's not budget related
It's
anyhow.
not,
It
it's
has
not part of the
nothing really to do with
discussion. It
budget.
shouldn't be.
You know what? After the budget is done, if you'd like to step outside with us and Mayor Damon, we
We
can
can
answer
discuss
your
it with
questions. We'd be happy to do that. But you're holding up the city budget deliberations that are going on right now for an unrelated topic.
It's
So-
not unrelated.
It
is
is to
unrelated. It
the
is.
bottom
It is
line of this
unrelated
budget,
to the
it
bottom line of
is.
the budget.
For the bottom line of the JSTP budget, that's
It's
really
not. It's not
unrelated.
entirely germane, but it's not. It's not unrelated.
Okay, so what are we doing?
Going down the road, correct, I understand what
So,
you're saying.
so in Ken's email, did he? Because I can't.
He answered all the questions in your email.
So we know when the
He
contract.
answered all the
Do
questions.
you have your city
I
phone?
can only say that so many times. But we're
Does
talking about
anybody
the
else?
budget
Do you wanna
here,
see it?
so-
I would love to see it. Yes.
Dan, it's not.
Thank you so much.
It's not important to the conversation we're having now.
Well, it's, it,
Just
Go ahead, read it. Go ahead, read it. Take up more time. Go ahead.
so is a series of essentially non-answers, or
That's where it is.
so we don't know if we have a bidder who has.
Dan, read the answers that you.
I'm reading the answers.
Why don't you read them out loud? Why don't you read the questions that you asked and read the answers?
Sure. Has a winning bidder been selected yet? Oh, sorry. The first question was, have the bids been scored? Yes is the answer. Has a winning bidder been selected yet? No, quote, winning bidder has been, quote, selected. There will be a recommendation to City Council and in this case, to the Village Board as well, as is done for all professional service proposals. I suspect the recommendation will be submitted to the legislative bodies shortly. Question 3, have contract negotiations begun with the winning bidder? Once again, there is no, quote, winning bidder. There will not be any negotiations until a recommendation is made to City Council and the Village Board. 3A, have contract negotiations begun? Basically, you told me to see the answers to the questions that all came prior. And then I asked also, please provide dates for the above milestones where applicable and the date, time, and location of the next meeting of the bid selection committee. And the answer was there are no scheduled dates responsive to your questions. So I got a bunch of lawyers' responses, which I would expect from a lawyer, but I don't have any real information about, it says shortly. So what does shortly mean? When are we going to see
Yeah,
this contract?
Mayor Damon, why don't you just let us know what the outcome of this is, because this is
I will.
a waste of time. You just hold on for the meeting.
Dan, so, all right, you read that, you got your question. Maybe to get your answer, you have time to get, but what's your answer on this? Where are we going with this? We gotta wrap this up. Either you're gonna agree to eliminate 2 positions or you don't, but if you don't, then let's move on.
Not eliminated.
Unfund.
Craig, how do you feel about losing these 2 mechanic positions? Are you okay with that?
We went over this, didn't we?
He said he
We
was
went
okay with
over
it.
this, Dan.
We-
I mean,
Don't get a pretty
Ah,
resilient
we
workforce.
went over it, though. It's a waste of time.
It's not gonna help.
We've got a pretty resilient workforce there. We could overcome.
Okay. Then I'll change my vote. Or we'll have to,
Lee, can
we'll have
we,
to vote on the motion, because it's not the same motion.
Somebody make a motion, please.
I make a motion to recall the last motion that was voted down in regards to unfunding 3 positions to unfunding 2 positions, the mechanics assistance position.
And I'll second that.
Lee, please take a vote.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilman Franz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Babstra.
Aye.
Councilman Monzo.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
Mayor Healy.
Aye.
And wonderful.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
Aye. That's 9 ayes.
All right, now we need to make a motion to accept the 2020 budget, including all the amendments and changes to the budget as motioned
I do have the totals.
and he has the totals.
All right.
And whatever else we need to say for the motion.
And I'll second that.
This is to approve the
This is
budget.
to approve the
As
budget.
amended.
As amended.
Okay.
Correct.
Hold the board.
Lee, take a vote, please.
Yes. Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilman Franz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Babstra.
Aye.
Councilman Monzo.
Aye.
Trustee Scanlon.
Aye.
Mayor Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
Trustee Reynolds.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. 0 nays.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned?
Motion to adjourn the budget meeting.